Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am scandalous like an Ashley. And I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at PocketJackComics.com, as well as Pocket Jacks, the company. And they have a comic right now in comic shops called Guinevere and the Divinity Factory, which came out, I think, in April and in May. It's in previews. Go bother your comic shop to go pick up a copy of that because it's an awesome book and it's some awesome covers, as well as you can check out what they do on Whatnot at Pocket Jacks Comics. So type that into Whatnot. You get all your fun stuff. My friend Preston's on there all the time. And if you sign up down below, you get 15 bucks as a credit. And if you type in the code Andrew, you also get 15% off on some awesome art and some awesome products. So enough about that though, because I have with me, and hopefully I'm gonna get her name right, Akiko is from Oshi Push. Awesome Kickstarter, awesome company. A lot of stuff's going on with you. So into the show.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Believe me, you're doing me the favor. I mean, you guys, what, are almost at $250,000 in Kickstarter. I mean, you're
Yeah,
killing it.
it's going crazy. It fulfilled first day even live on stream.
That's wild. So clearly, I mean, people could say I'm doing you guys a favor. No. It's you're making me better as an interviewer, and you as a company, and you personally are probably doing me a solid favor. So I really appreciate it. But yeah, so you got that Kickstarter going on, which is an awesome card game. I am a backer. Full disclosure, I'm excited to play it. I'm excited as a card collector as well. But who are you exactly? Before we get into the Kickstarter and all that stuff, because you are a VTuber. Obviously, you are the spokesperson and mascot for the gaming company as well that you represent. And so, kind of quick background on who you are, because there's people watching this who know who you are, and there's people who saying, "What is this?" Because this is cool.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm the VTuber mascot for Japanime Games. Japanime Games does a lot of tabletop board games. We import Japanese board games, do localization translations, and we have a lot of license deals with anime. So we have like some Crunchyroll IPs like Fruits Basket Zoo Tiles, Sword Art Online. We have Japanime Tactics, which is featuring Grand Blue Fantasy and other things like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I know SAO. I know Grand Blue. I enjoy Grand Blue. I enjoy an SAO a lot. I'm a big Crunchyroll guy. I love it. I mean, I have to ask you: did you play Heimquest?
Which one?
Did you play Heimquest yet?
No, not yet.
Oh my god, it's awesome! It's awesome. Came in a Game Boy cartridge. Oh, it's fantastic. Good job, Crunchyroll. Is all I'm gonna say. Um, but I digress. So, how did you get involved with Japan games and Jap anime games? Because obviously that is a cool company. I'm not as familiar as I should be with everything that they have produced out there, but I think they've done 31 Kickstarters, if I'm not mistaken, and they brought a lot of stuff to market. And so, how did you get involved with them? Because obviously they're a massive company.
Well, basically, when I was out of school, I was doing some temp work, which was trying to do some trading card games a little bit. So I had a bit of a mentor that taught me a little bit about the board game industry, and it was so fresh and so new to me, right? Because I thought the only way to have fun was either sports or video games. I was a video game child, and so the board game industry was super new to me. I didn't know you could have fun unplugged, and so like when I got introduced to it, of course, I'm a little bit of an anime nerd. So the closest thing that kind of gravitated towards me was Japanime Games, because they do a lot of anime and Japanese style things. And eventually, I met the owner, uh, Eric, at the licensing expo, and since then, we've just been keeping touch. And I've basically just been bugging Eric like every year. I'm like, hey Eric, how about you take me on? And we could do this, or we could do that, or I could do this for you. And eventually, he was just like, fine, you can have your Japanime cafe. And I'm like, good. And so here I am.
So how did even that come about? Because were you a VTuber before that, or did that all come up when you were in Japanime Games, or were you doing some of this before? Like, how did that come about? Because not many people get a cafe, for lack of a better word.
Um, Mayhaps there was a. I basically had to do a lovely pitch for him to be like, "Hey, listen, uh, you know, we have Akiko here as a mascot, and VTubing is pretty big right now. I'm surprised that you're not letting me speak out into the world and waggle about for everybody. Mayhaps there might have been PowerPoints involved. There might have been some sort of level of research to try to uh, tell him what VTubing would consist of. Uh, but it all worked out eventually, and here.
So let's actually talk about this because obviously there is character and there is communication and there's a lot of content with you out there, and it's not just for Oshi Push, it's for a lot of games that they produce and they push out there. And I think that there is a component saying, hey, you just talking about a game that came out or some component came out and attaching a story and an idea and a person and a thing to it. Because at this point, and feel free to tell me to be quiet at any point, but there's a lot of games out there, but there's not a lot of characters or even saying cool, drawing attention to it, for lack of a better word, I guess is where I'm going with this. And I think that's a key because I'm learning that in my podcast is how to draw attention to myself and how to promote something and how you have to get out there and how you have to be creative, for lack of a better word.
Hmm. Yeah, this is true. There's other VTubers that I know. For example, there was a video game that I streamed, and I forgot what it was like. It was like a battle royale death game. And for their promotion for their new game, they actually had a VTuber that was of one of the characters from the video game. And it was made by one of the VTuber artist riggers that I idolize, Noi. And so she was there for a while and promoted the game a little bit, but then I don't think she still streams because the game didn't stick around for very long. And I will say that sometimes I do feel a little bit underutilized because I do have other jobs around the cafe, like back in the kitchen, that's not public facing. So it would be nice to get out a little bit more. I one of my goals during my debut was definitely to go actually like to feature in a convention. And Eric was actually asking me recently. There's an upcoming convention that specifically asked me to be a guest there if I could feature somewhere at the convention, and so I'm really excited about that. I would
So
definitely.
what is that like? Because again, I've only presented at an anime con and I loved it. And the reason why I did it, and I'll be honest, is that I'm a broke college kid and I wanted a free ticket. And I wanted to get in for free.
Mhm.
And so giving 2 or 3 hour presentations on topics that I like and getting a free ticket for 3 days sounds awesome to me. And then you film it and you get content. Oh man, it's fantastic. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. But what is that like to be asked to be a guest there? Because that's kind of really cool. I would imagine that. And now, you're getting publicity, obviously getting publicity for your company, and you are growing as a brand. So what is that like? Because that's kind of cool. And not everybody gets to do that. Not everybody gets to ask to be a guest. A
Very
guest.
nerve-wracking. Uh, Very, very, very nerve-wracking because obviously that would require speaking to a lot of people. You know, I'm really comfy speaking to the lovely patrons that stop by the cafe during streams and say hello and hang out and things like that. But now you're asking me to go out into the world outside of the cafe and speak to a lot of people gathered in a room altogether. Uh, uh,
That's
I get,
wild to me. I'm so comfortable. Like I enjoy speaking on my show and I enjoy interviewing. But if I'm speaking to one person or 500, it doesn't change anything for me. Like to me, like it doesn't affect anything. Like I find it so fascinating that you would be terrified because I mean, it bewilders me for lack of a better word. Because
I,
you seem like so confident and you want to share the cafe with everybody, right?
I do want to share the cafe with everybody, but I also have like I think a lot of content creators have to get over the hurdle of how do you say imposter syndrome, where uh sometimes you don't feel qualified to speak to the masses. You know, maybe
We
you
don't have
speak
to
to the
talk about me.
masses.
We don't have to talk about me. We don't have to make this personal. I am clearly not qualified to talk to people, but I'm just like, what's up? We're doing it, and it's great.
Yeah, see, but you've gotten over your hurdle. You're over your hurdle. You're just like, you know what? I'm speaking it. Whereas me, I'm just like, yes, yes. I do the game stuff.
I mean, I could tell you what made me get over my hurdle when I had no right to speak to the bushwhackers. I've had no right to speak to 90% of the people, like Barry Yandler, who's Mr. Dupont Clay. I spoke to Sir Crocodile, John Swayze from One Piece, Mihawk, Gentle Criminal. I've had no rights to speak to half these people. I got to view the voice of Shikumaru, Tom Gibbs. But I just asked, and my thought process was that these people are going to say no. That was my thought process, and I said I have to try. And then like they said, yeah, we'll do it. I'm like, fuck. Now I actually have to show up. It was. But all jokes aside, the point is that I think it's really interesting what you brought up because what got me over my imposter syndrome is that people just said yes, and I'm like, why would you say yes to me? I have no track record, and people are like, because nobody asked us. And I'm like, wait a second, you're a top voice actor that everybody knows, but nobody's asked you for an interview in 6 months. There's something wrong here with this, where you're one of the top voices that everybody knows. So, and then I realized that everybody's like me. And so I guarantee you that just being in front of 1,000 people, 98% of them are exactly like you. The only difference is that you have a cafe and they don't. I like how you're just silent. You're just
I'm
like,
just like,
but I digress. But no, that's so interesting. And then obviously I do want to get into Oshi Push because I'm very excited for this game. I'm very excited. Obviously, I'm a backer as I stated. And how did even this come about? Because there must have been obviously some planning with this company. And when did all this start dropping and being built? Because this is definitely, I feel, a different game for this company because this is definitely in your space and it's VTuber centric, it's anime centric. And how did even this come about saying, hey, you're going to kind of be somewhat of the push behind this? No pun intended.
it was around 2 years ago. So the same time when I was uh pitching to Boss Man about VTubers and things like that, and making them, you know, me come to life. I pitched the VTuber trading card game at the same time, and he had always been thinking about making a trading card game for like the Artist Alley, because the Artist Alley has like a lot of different artists and he has all of his business cards. Like you can go to a convention and have all of their business cards, and that's essentially like a trading card game, right? You're like collecting all of their business cards. And so he had always played around with that idea. And eventually with the V2 being coming out, it was kind of like the same premise, and you're like collecting your idols and things like that. So it's been like in development for the past 2 years, slowly just kind of passively having a lot of meetings, contracts, trying to figure out contracts. I never realized having contracts signed takes a long time. I didn't know it takes such a long time. We were like in negotiation talks for, let's say, like a month, and we'd be like, "Hey, everything sounds good," but then it would still take another like 2 to 3 months for an actual finalized contract to happen, and it's just like, wow, wait, I just want to start working on this.
So let's actually talk a little bit about this game because obviously my understanding, and I want to become really good at this because I want to win some tournaments. I'm not gonna lie, I'm super excited, and,
Mhm.
and I love reverse engineering how to win. I used to be a big Magic the Gathering player. I used to be a big Yu-Gi-Oh player. I haven't touched a card game in a while. But that's not what this is about. But what is that like? Because what is the basic premise of it? Because I have an understanding of this game that is about influence, and then there's rounds and other stuff. But what is the basic premise of it? Because for me, and I'll be honest, there's two sides to this. There's the card collectability element of it, but there's also the gameplay element of it. And I'm interested in both sides of this. But what is the basic premise of the game for those who are saying, cool, what's Oshi Push? Because it sounds kind of, hopefully, it sounds fun when you explain it. Hopefully.
So essentially, as with the VTubing sphere, uh, a lot of VTubers are vying for popularity, influence, to be somebody's kamiyoshi, as you say, to be somebody's number one streamer, and we kind of thematically place that into a game where you compete for channels or platforms. So you basically pull out your stops. You have funds, obviously, as a streamer. You have budgets, right? And you have to figure out what kind of content you want to push out to win the influence over a platform. And the platforms earn you subscribers, and the first to a million wins.
So yeah, so I mean, I understand the slight gameplay where I think there's like different rounds and there's different turns, and there's like what is there, like 6 rounds? There are six like phases that you can do in this game, I think, and you can save some of those phases. Like there's a lot of stuff that can be done in this game.
Hmm. I believe there's 3 phases, uh, but there's a lot you can do in those phases. Uh, because obviously there's the hold on, this the first phase. You see, this is where you're now testing me.
It's not my goal. I just want to know all the secrets so I can beat everybody.
You're now
This
testing me. You have to. So the first phase, you basically plan what platform you want to quote quote stream at, or do your content at, right? So you move your persona, your little VTuber guy, on the said platform, and then you put down your content or whatever, and then you move on to the next phase, which is like the platform phase, and which you kind of battle it out. You figure out what last minute contents you can do, last ditch efforts of actions and things like that. And sometimes you can if you know you're going to lose, then you just move on to the next platform. Just move everything, and then you can out influence on a different platform. It's very like a territory management kind of game. So there's different ways you can play. So, for instance, if your color is like red, that's very content investment heavy, and I've seen players win by basically putting a lot of nesting eggs on every platform, like a little bit in every platform. If you're a green color VTuber,
So
hmm?
let me ask this because I was just playing an app game that PewDiePie just released an app,
Hmm.
and I had to reach a certain level through inbox style, and I was getting 4 bucks if I reached level 25. And so content, you could have beauty and you could have sports, and it's all sorts of cool stuff, and it's about YouTube influence. And you can buy different things to make your YouTube, space better that gets you more points. and every time you buy merch and you buy these items, you get level up. And so it's very interesting because I was playing this game, and then so there's all your advertisements. I'm like, oh man, God is sending me a sign here. Is how I viewed it. But because I like this game and I like this concept that obviously you could go content heavy, you could go very content specific, probably, and then you could probably do a hybrid approach, or you could potentially steal subscribers or sabotage people. Probably there's probably some component of that too in there, right? Because it's sort of like Magic the Gathering to some degree, where you could have a poison deck or you could have a goblin deck,
Hmm.
and they both have very different objectives because I played both. And then you have a poison goblin deck, and oh my god, just don't ask my campers how they felt about that 5 years ago.
What is your usual play style? Like, what's your favorite deck to play?
Oh, I love my goblin deck. 5 turns and you're done.
So very aggressive?
Oh, incredibly aggressive. I mean, let me put it this way. So by turn 3, I have a goblin chieftain out there, and I have a goblin king out there. And then I think I forgot the card that reduces my goblin costs, but all of a sudden I'm playing goblins that are like level 5 goblins. So I've had 4 goblin kings out on turn 6. And then I had like 3 goblin chieftains out, and then you turn a 1/1 goblin into a 7/7, and it's turn 6, and my camera's like, dude, my camera's like, I'm 9, and I'm like, I'm sorry, and then I like scarred campers for life, the Magic the Gathering, and like you have to give your campers like 80 life, and then I give myself 10, and they're like, we can't beat you, man. And I'm like, I'm sorry that my deck is really good. And oh my god, it was just terrible. I made a camper cry playing Magic the Gathering. Oh my god, it was like the worst day of camp counselor. Oh, just 5 turns is the average that somebody lasts against my goblin deck. It's sick.
Then you might like the red cards in Oshi Push because their specialization is aggressive / beatdown.
Oh, it's gonna be so much fun.
They basically have influence in increasing popularity / like they specialize in like winning platforms. And that's something that we noticed when doing the playthrough streams, where it's just like you need to make sure that you beat down the person really quick and fast, but that also makes them kind of a bit of like a glass cannon. Is that something you're okay with?
I'm okay with that, and which I like my so I had an elf deck too, which was similar to my goblin deck in Magic the Gathering, and then my favorite play style though, because it's the most fun, is a poison deck. So in infect deck, I used to play with that too. It was a lot of fun because you're just infecting cards left and right, and oh my god, that's like a 20 turn game where you are just methodically, just systematically taking people's life piece by piece by piece, and every turn you're gonna take their life down by 1, and you're taking their monsters down by 1, but you're not killing their monsters. You're making it. Oh my god! Oh, that was a sick deck. And then a devour deck is sick too. I spent a lot of time playing Magic the Gathering. When you're in nerd camp, this is what you do.
Both of those decks sound really mean, and I don't like them because I have a milling deck, and I have to outlive being able to mill somebody's deck.
Ah,
I have to
the
survive long enough.
the devour deck that I built is sick because you exile cards to get your monsters cheaper. So I think it's devour. Maybe it's something else, but basically I would burn half my deck. But then you're summoning a 9/9 for 1 mana on turn 10. So you just have to survive till turn 10 while you're burning your deck. And then you put a bunch of walls in there. Oh my god. It's terrible because the you have to plan so well on that. And it's a fun test, but it's not fun to play that. I love playing my goblin deck. I love my goblins so much. I'm a goblin guy. I love
Mhm.
goblins. Like my favorite anime is Goblin Slayer. I love goblins. I
Yeah.
just do. And let's just say, yeah. I think goblins can take elves. So let's just leave it at that. But oh man, so sorry for cutting you off. I get really excited about Magic the Gathering and my goblins.
It's okay.
But yeah, so even going further into this, because obviously you're at 200, almost 250,000. I don't know. I think last time I checked, you were at 246,000, but that was I think 2-3 hours ago. So I don't know if you surpassed 250, but you will.
Oh,
Bob,
we just did this very second.
great. Oh, oh, but I'm very conservative on my Kickstarter estimates purposely because it's better to underestimate and over deliver than to over deliver and underestimate.
Hmm.
Um, but what is that like? Because obviously you're over 1,000 backers, and that means 1,000 people want to play this game or collect it or be involved. And people are really interested in this game because I don't think this game has been mass released at the moment, unless I'm mistaken. Where I think it's been tested, but I don't think anybody has this game yet for the most part.
No, not yet. Um, Definitely nerve-wracking, but also very exciting because uh I think the satisfaction that I'll get is when I get to see people play and enjoy the game. That's gonna be the rewarding part for me after working on this for so long.
So even to go further into that, because I don't know how familiar you are with Kickstarter. Obviously, I spent a lot of time in comic Kickstarter, and a lot of my friends might do 40,000. A bunch of my friends do, 8,000. And then very few people, I think, there's a very selective few people who do 10,000. There's an even less group that does 50, and there's an even lesser group that does 100,000. And with this campaign, if you're at 250 so far, I mean that's a massive group. Now I don't know what the statistics is in board games and card games, and I know it's all over the place. Where I have a friend who does the whole project while I went to Slaughterville, and I think he's done 30,000 on some of his, but I also know people who've done 12,000 on board games. And so obviously 250,000 is nothing to sneeze at. And obviously there is want and desire for this game and components of this game on both a personal level and a retail level. So what is that like also that, hey, people want this game and that this isn't just an idea anymore. This is actually going to happen.
It's definitely very interesting and something that like we were hoping to see, because we have seen it. We have seen that there is a demand. We have seen that there's been a lot of people that have been wanting for this for a really long time, and it's kind of just been a race against the clock because there's been a lot of people that like pitch ideas about it and things, and there's actually even other VTuber trading card games out there that other than us. There's Rift Runners, and Shy Lily announced V Card, and even Hololive is making their own separate VTuber trading card, separate from Way Shorts. So there definitely is a demand, and it's just so crazy that all of the announcements of these other VTuber trading card games were all popping up like around the same time that we're making ours, and it's just like, oh my god, it was definitely. I would always every time there was another announcement of the VTuber trading card game, I was like manic and scared and just being like, oh my god, like I'm terrified.
Let me ask this.
Hmm.
Because I'm a strong believer in the following is that if somebody is interested in card games and trading card games, and there's card game A, and then there's B, but they're really interested in this space, A and B don't necessarily compete with each other. So obviously, I saw the ads on this, and I saw a bunch of that. I'm like, this looks right up my alley. Where it's card collecting, it's anime, it's Japanese, it's pop culture, and it fit my niche, right? Where obviously I run a business that's around comics, anime, pop culture, all that stuff, and I'm like, this fits right into my business. It fits right into my need. It fits right into the fact that I'm interviewing some interesting VTubers in an adult way at the moment as well. And like you just happened in this company, no offense to you guys personally, and I'm gonna say it the least offensive way, but you just happen to fit right into my niche and into the space that I'm in. So, but I don't think that if another VTuber card game came up, that it's necessarily competing against you.
Mhm.
Because if somebody wants that and is dying and is hungry for this content in this space, they're probably going to buy both to some degree. They just might not buy both at a huge level.
Right. Bossman was never worried every time like another one would come out, but I was mostly worried because like I guess we were tapping into a new niche a little bit. Obviously, Japanime Games is well known within the board game industry, and especially with Bossman being a representative of like Gamma Games and things like that. He's very known in the circuit. But in terms of the VTubing sphere, we were slowly trying to tap into that
Fair enough.
community. Yeah, and so
I'm sympathetic because
yeah.
again, I'm not tapping in. When I did Sasha Nakamoto last year, and then I did Lil Fujimoto and doing Eevee, and those are the first three. It is new territory for me without a doubt. It is terrifying. And you are the third VTuber that I'm interviewing. Eevee is going to be the fourth. It is very new territory, and it's very terrifying to be honest. Because
Mm.
I don't know how my audience is going to react. They react very positive to Sasha. They reacted very positive to Lilith, and I'm presuming they're going to react positive for a lot of reasons. A, it's really cool to do something like this, and B, I like to think that I'm an okay interviewer, or even better than okay, but obviously they like the content and a bunch of other stuff, and it's an interview, right? It's not anything that should be offensive, but at the same time, whenever you're doing something brand new, it's terrifying because you don't know how people are going to react. And so I completely agree that it could be a terrifying experience, and you're like, are people going to be okay with this, right? Like, I don't want the hate.
Right.
But even speaking of that, because I did mention you crossed 1,000, and I don't know if I can mention this, but I'm going to throw it up anyway. Is I
You
think
saw
I think
already.
I think it's okay to mention, right?
Yeah.
That everybody's getting one of these in their order, right?
Yeah. I was stressing so hard about that. I've been trying to work on that as a gift for everybody that's been backing. And then like even today, I had
Explain the message because I thought it was funny, and let me explain my reaction to the message. I'm like, holy shit, I'm in this message. Like that was my reaction to the whole thing. Because I didn't know this was gonna happen tonight anyway. Because which is a whole different discussion. But like, I'm like, is this on? Are we doing this on Google Hangout?
oh,
YouTube? Like, no communication. I'm like, well,
I'm
I'm
so sorry.
here
I've been super busy.
I
I
was
just
here anyway because
yeah.
I'm a professional. But I'm like, oh snap! It's 9:35. I'm in this message. Holy shit! And I'm like, hey mom, I'm in a message on Kickstarter for the first time. This is cool. So anyway, continue. Sorry for taking your thought there.
Where was I? You wanted to talk about the Sakana card?
Yeah, explain the message because I thought the message was funny.
So basically, I've been working a lot of the social feeds and being really into the community and as the VTuber liaison, figuring out what the community wants, and a little bit. I'd always been wanting a Sakura card for a while, okay? Because like literally Sakana is the heart of Face Connect. Whether you think so or not, he is the heart of Face Connect, whether it's to be ragged on by the other talents or the fact that he's the reason that they're all there, the guy, the fish man that started it all. He's kind of he's like his own mascot for his own company. So I've always wanted a Sakana card. Um, and but it's been like an off again, on again, like struggle where like I'll message Sakana and be like, I'll ask him, can we make a promo card of you, please, sir? And I won't get him a response, but then other questions will come up that are more important, and so we'll have to ask them, and he'll answer like the most recent question. And so like I think 3 times in a row, like I never got an official response about a promo card for him. And I finally got the approval for it. And I'm like, oh my god, this will be so great. Everybody's gonna love it. And especially after the Tenma's request, the fuck you card. Uh, it's all about like kind of like the snap posting, right? It's all about just doing the funny a little bit here and there. Um
So let's
and
actually talk about that card a little bit too, because obviously Kickstarter is a really cool place where there's stretch goals, and the goal of Kickstarter in a lot of ways is to kickstart a project, also distribute a project, but you want to reward people for backing your project with rewards and stretch goals. And I like this because I'm presuming that if you buy this when it comes to a card shop, that this card is Kickstarter exclusive for the most
yeah,
part. Hopefully, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But
I did ask the boss man. I'm like, this promo is exclusive to the Kickstarter, right? It's exclusive. I'm making this. It's my card. It's my special card. And he said, yeah. The only other thing that I've been thinking about, and this will be a little tease, is that I am trying to get an alternate art card of the Sakana card. So that will be the prize cards for retailers. So that might be the only other way to get a Sakana card outside of the Kickstarter, is if retailers get the bundle with the prize cards, and they can give them out at the shops or whatever.
because that's the thing about Kickstarter that bugs me the most, and I'll be honest, and people know my opinion is that if I can get your product outside of Kickstarter, there's no good reason for me to be on Kickstarter or Zoop or fund my comic or anything of that nature.
Hmm.
Um, and because if I know this card's going to be in a pack later on down the line, there's no incentive for me to push it forward or back now. Versus saying stretch goals definitely allow me to back now and get me
Yeah.
excited. So obviously, but I do think this card is a little fishy. I'm sorry, I had to
You
say.
had to do it. You had to do it. I've been teasing that all week long. You had to do it. One of us had to do it.
It's better than me because it's my show because I get away with it all the time. If I'm just gonna say it, if you don't know my show by now and you're a regular subscriber on YouTube, you don't know what you walked into, I'm sorry, you're late to the party. If you're coming for the first time, you're seeing me, please subscribe because I definitely need it. And I promise you, you will probably not get smarter with me, but you will be entertained. But
Losing the brain cells.
actually, probably people will get smarter because my show is educational, just not in the way people think it is. But not the point. Defeats the punchline, it defeats the joke. But yeah, so let's get into this a little bit more because obviously there's a lot of other stuff as well in this where this is where obviously you have the card game, which I think we spoke about, but then you have a bunch of cool stuff where you got rare cards, you got numbered cards, you got borderless cards, you got signature cards, you got different color cards. I think foils, maybe you got alternative art cards. You got some other cool stuff in there, and yeah, like there's just a lot of stuff in play here. So what is that like too? Because it's just a cool bunch of ways how to enjoy this. Where I think somebody can enjoy the playing of this and just playing the game, or somebody could just enjoy it as a collector. And I know there's different rarities and packs of rare cards in there. And so what is that like? Because I think it's kind of cool.
What is that like? Really, really, really complicated. When you get into the rarity, it's really, 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 really complicated. But we knew from the get-go that we did want the game to be super accessible to the easygoing players, right? So a lot of the unique cards are locked in at the I believe it's the light blue Supa rarity. And then anything higher than that is just alternate arts or alternate foilings and things like that. But you can get basically all the uniques at lower levels. So that way you're not having to feel like what is it? It's not like the feeling of pay to win, where obviously if you pay more, then you get all of the super strong cards that are like really really rare. We didn't want to do that. So a lot of the higher rarities are cosmetics, and just for the really dedicated ones that just want something flashy to show in their decks. Um, in terms of building up the rarity, that was super duper complicated, and that's where Ian came in. He's the one that's been doing a lot of the updates for the Kickstarter. He's such a trooper, building up that rarity only for me to ruin it with cheese packs. uh,
We're gonna talk about that too.
oh, poor
So,
Ian.
so, so,
I
so,
didn't realize.
let's actually talk about this a little bit too,
Mm,
because obviously Magic the Gathering, we were joking about my Goblin deck. My Goblin deck, there is maybe 5 rares in that whole deck. Most of
mm,
the cards are commons, where a 1/1 Goblin or a 1 fire or 1 mountain mana Goblin is a 1/1. It's not a rare card. It just so happens that you only need 2 or 3 ultra rare cards to really power up a deck. And it's actually a really cheap deck. No, actually that's not true. It's actually an expensive deck to build, but not the point. But it's an expensive deck to build because you actually have to track down cards that are useful. But it's not expensive, where the whole deck to put together was about $45, which isn't bad, all things considering. Just the fact that it legitimately kills people in 5 turns. But what is that like? Because you don't want to overpower, and somebody has a rare card that is an instant win, right? Because versus, I think what you were saying, which is cosmetics, because people want flashy decks, right? But then you also want to give somebody like me, who's a card collector, who wants to binder out parts of cards, the ability to do it. And then there's the grading component of this as well, which is a big factor right now in the card community. And so, because I don't think this is just a game playing issue anymore with card sets, it is crystal clear to me, because I know I sold One Piece cards, and with the One Piece game for like 50, $60. And
mm.
so this is tricky, because I'm sure that there's a variety of people say, I want to play this for fun. I want to play in tournaments. And I also just want that ultra rare card in my personal collection, or I want to flip it. And I think as a company, you probably want all of that, right?
Yeah. A lot of the balancing was definitely on the game designers. They kept fine tuning the numbers, even right up to the last minute. They were still adjusting certain things, um, and even like one number made a lot of difference in terms of balancing some of the cards. Um, and they had so a lot of the unique cards stay with the default rarities. Sorry. A lot of the unique cards stick with the default rarity. So, like you have your commons, your uncommons, your rares, and things like that. All of the content and action cards, their rarities are just up to rare level, with the cards being the one level above rare, which in the back end were called the Starlight rarity, are just the second upgrade cards for each of the talents, which is like their strongest upgrade, and that's the only thing in terms of the rarities when you collect the cards and building like powerful decks. Um, but it's still pretty balanced in the sense that even if you're going against a super upgraded card as a base persona, you may be at a disadvantage, but sometimes uh, just depending on how you do your resources, you still can beat an upgraded card.
No, I think it's interesting, and again, I'm gonna figure out how to reverse engineer this because I want to win some tournaments. I really do. I'm so excited. Um, I really want to play this game, and I want to reverse engineer it, and I really want to win because I'm just that competitive. Um, and I would like to win me some rare cards because I'm a card collector at heart. And I'm excited to compete. But I think that it's important. In a lot of ways. And I think it is important to actually not overpower something. I mean, we've seen it where somebody can go and, as you stated, pay to win, and it sucks. And I've been on the end of that when you're 12 and you're playing against somebody who's 25. You know, a 25-year-old has money and a 12-year-old doesn't. And it's kind of fucked up, for lack of a better word. Um,
Yeah.
it's not good for the hobby is a good way to put it. Um, and it's different when I'm playing my campers back 6, 7 years ago, and I'm 23 and they're 12, but we're not playing for anything but just for the sake of playing. There's a difference between those two things versus playing in a tournament or playing at $10 in a draft of Magic the Gathering. It's a little bit different, but again, I digress. But I do want to talk about the God packs and the cheese packs.
Hmm.
So I think this is what they look like. And what's the deal with that? Because they're interesting.
Well, so essentially there was a campaign that recently happened. I believe it was called Ascend. Wait. Which one was the one that happened? Hold on. Altered TCG. They had their stretch goals where they made the rarities more available, and we kind of liked that idea, and we thought, how can we make this interesting? And in my head, I kind of like the idea of like the Willy Wonka with the chocolate and the golden ticket. And so I was just like, well, and Boss Man also kept mentioning something about God packs, but I think they were different in other campaigns. But he just defaulted to calling them God packs because that's what other campaigns have called them. But in my head, I'm just like, well, if they have the lower rarities and more accessible for like getting them pulls, then that's a bit of a cheese tactic, I think. So I call them cheese packs.
So let me ask this because my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that they are in hobby boxes, which is I think 20 packs, if I'm not mistaken. And it's kind of a sealed, it's not a blaster, it's a hobby. So it's 20 packs, and it replaces one of the 20, correct?
Yeah, replaces one of the packs, the regular packs in a booster box.
So what is that like too? Because that also is interesting, right? Because you're upgrading a pack inside of this. Obviously I'm a big baseball guy. I'm excited for my series two, and there's no stretch goals in a series two. I want to make that crystal clear. Top not a crowdfunder anytime soon. They don't need it. They were just bought for 500 million by Fanatics. They don't need any more money. If anything, their prices should come down. But neither here nor there. I would like my Tops bill to come down every year. Is all I'm asking. So if Tops, if you're seeing this, if you could do me a solid, it'd be great. But what is that like? Because I think that's also interesting as well, where you're upgrading a pack, but you're also replacing a pack. And then I think there's a stretch goal as well on a backer level of social media that would also replace another pack, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that's fascinating about upgrading packs, and I think it's an interesting stretch goal. Because again, I'm not in the card space as far as packs of this nature. But I do think it's an interesting thing, and it's kind of interesting, I guess, is where I'm going with this.
Well, it makes Ian's brain melt. So I've compromised with him. Originally I wanted to have be able to slot in like 4 of them into a booster box. But after sitting down with Ian and crunching the numbers, it makes his brain melt. So we have the two, right? Which was
I mean, this is
obviously
per hobby, right? Is this so somebody orders like 10 hobbies, they're gonna get a bunch of these,
yeah.
right?
If you get 10 booster boxes, you'll have 10 God packs. I know during earlier discussions before Ian joined, we had discussed concerns about the cheese packs because one person was basically wondering if retailers would basically get the boxes and take out the cheese pack and try to sell them separately, and thus making it like not available to like regular consumers having a booster box with them in it. That was a concern that one person had.
I mean, in their defense, they would have to crack something open, and then you would still have to sell it, and then, I mean, sure, that could happen. I mean, it could happen though if I get 2 blasters and I sell the God pack on eBay. It could happen that way too. I mean, I'm not saying I would or I wouldn't,
Mm.
but that could happen as well. I mean, it
I
could very well be that, but also I would imagine that if I want to sell a hobby box as a whole thing sealed up, my consumer is going to know it was cracked open, right?
mm,
So there also gets a point where, unless the buyer is uneducated, I think it would be, I guess, bad business is how I view it for a retailer to do it. Also, I'm presuming that if you guys found out as a company, you might not want to do business with that retailer moving forward. And does a retailer really want to lose the ability to do business with you? Because I'm sure theoretically you could set rules for retail, right?
mm. We could, but it's also one of those things that's hard to track unless it's reported. We usually like to trust our retailers because they're part of the JPP, the Japan Anime Partner Program. So I know Emma's in charge of that, and she has guidelines for them, and we
I'll
have good
put it
relations
this
with
way.
them.
So
Mm.
when I do business with people, right? I buy wholesale, right? They have rules. Nobody's ever gotten a phone call about me on a wholesale level. You say, I've never heard anything in 2, 3 years from you on a wholesale level from anybody. I'm like, I'm glad, because if you hear anything about me on a wholesale level, you should call me immediately. Because if I haven't heard anything, and people are like, that's usually how it is. And even with business and interviews, usually when 2 or 3 or 4 people tell me the same story about a person that I'm doing business with, I'm like, I gotta investigate. So chances are, if you're not hearing anything about anything, there's no problem. It's when you hear it from 2 or 3 or 4 different people saying, hey, I didn't get a God pack and it was resealed. What's up with this? That's when you got a problem, right?
Mm.
But not to put you on the spot. I don't want to get you in any trouble you don't need to get into. But
Well, something I also learned interestingly is that apparently you can PSA seal packs and even booster boxes. I didn't know that.
welcome to the club. Um, did you know what was just broken open actually on this? A PSA seal from 1952 was just broken open.
What?
1952 baseball is one of the rarest card sets in the world because I think 80 to 85% of them were dumped into the Hudson River. So it's one of Willie Mays, I think, from 1952 in like a PSA 6, which is a horrible grade for that. So for like maybe 300,000-400,000
Oh my
in a
goodness.
six. A six normally would not sell for that. It's like the highest grade Willie Mays 1952. But somebody cracked open a PSA pack. So yeah, it's crazy, right? So you could get packs graded. It's wild.
So what you're telling me is we're going scuba diving, right? We're going fishing for these?
Oh,
You
of
said
course you can.
Hudson? Yeah.
Absolutely. This is
Yeah.
tomorrow. I have a 3-day weekend. Do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So terrible. It's just so terrible. Yeah, you could you could fly into New York, right into LaGuardia or JFK. You'll be good. It'll be great. Get some sleep on the plane. Yeah.
I could go for some swimming. It's getting close to summer, right? Just around the corner.
Right in the Hudson. Right in the Hudson. You know, it'll be great. You only live one life, right? It's just terrible. It's just terrible. But yeah. What were you saying? I'm sorry for cutting you off.
What was I saying?
You're talking about PSA cards and like.
What? I just didn't know about that, and I just thought that would be interesting for people to do because I guess it does make sense since the cheese packs won't be available in the regular booster boxes. That is something that people can do. They can open their booster box and get the pack, the cheese pack, PSA graded and sealed for protection, and be like, ah, you know.
Because I mean, obviously the rarity in those God packs or those cheese packs. I mean, from my understanding, is that a bunch of stuff gets kind of cut out, and then it just automatically jumps up like a level or two, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is that like too? Because that's kind of interesting as well. Because it's an interesting stretch goal for sure. Because it still adds a level of randomness, but there's also getting some cool shit in there, for lack of a better word.
Uh, it's still a bit random, but it makes it so that certain things are more accessible. So like I mentioned, the light blue cards, I believe they're hold on, let me see. It's like it cuts down the amount that you need to get significantly. So
Did,
like, hmm?
I don't know what I was going to ask is that obviously you want, because the people who are backing this obviously believe in the project, and they want to be a part of this, and then they want to be involved, and a lot of people are spending a good chunk of money. I mean, if you have 1,100 backers at 250,000, I mean it's just 1,100 into 250, right? Whatever that number is the average backer count.
Hmm.
If people really believe in this, and you want to reward those people for saying, "Hey, I'm here early and I'm helping to make this happen," and you obviously want those people versus some guy who goes to the shop in 6 months in the card shop getting the rarest card possible, right?
Hmm.
I'm presuming as a company, you want people who back this to say, get some rare cards, and potentially get some stuff like borderless cards or some rare art cards, whether or not that changes somebody's deck play or builds them a super deck. You still want people to be like, hey, I feel that I got a good value for my money for my 100 or 200 or $300, and that I didn't wind up with just one rare card. And that's what I feel like the God packs are doing, right? But it also adds the allure because as a card collector and somebody opens up, I mean, last night I opened up, I think like 50 packs from Zenoscope. And it's very exciting to open up packs. You know what the hell you're gonna get, right? You still want to have that experience because that's fun. That opening up card packs is a lot of fun,
Hmm.
and it's really enjoyable. The crumpling, right, and then you're opening it up, so you still want to have the randomness too in there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I think, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I mean, the cheese pack is supposed to give off that feeling. We definitely want to reward all of our early supporters for this, obviously, because this is like uh, pre-ordering this project, helping support us, letting us know that this is something that they want. So we definitely want to reward them with that. And with the cheese pack, when you get a regular pack and you do the pulls and you're kind of going through the cards and you're like, okay, this is common, okay, like you're just kind of like complacent, and then you're like, okay, these last two cards, there's got to be something good, right? And then you would do your reveal, and you just get that kind of adrenaline just for those two cards. But at least with the one cheese pack, you're just like, okay, this cheese pack, you're gonna feel the goodness the entire time. It is gonna be a random assortment, but it's all goodness inside.
No. I get it. In which that it's like a super pack. It's kind of like pulling, a jumbo box
Hmm.
from Tops. Tops jumbo boxes are fun. You're guaranteed a lot of good stuff in there. Um, but not the point. But no. I mean, I think it's an interesting stretch goal. Um, I mean, I am excited for a bunch of stuff, and then I think you had a bunch of other serial cards that wound up dropping as well, stretch goals. So that's in there as well. And then there's just some other stuff that's really cool too. And what I like about the entire thing here in particular is that obviously there's a lot of ways you could get involved in this too, because I think there's the Pippa deck, and then there's another deck as well. So
Tenma.
what would you say?
Tenma, my beloved. I
Yes.
mean, yes.
So obviously there's starter deck components, which I bought two of. I have one of each coming, and I bought that tier plus the hobby slash booster box, whatever we're gonna call it. I like to call it a hobby box. So that's what it is in my mind. Is and maybe my terminology is off, but it's a hobby box to me. It could be a booster box to you. That's fine. It's not a blaster. It's not a blaster. I can assure you that. Blasters are usually 6 to 8 packs, guys. A hobby's 20. And then a jumbo is just don't ask. Now a
Okay.
jumbo is usually thicker card packs and usually have guaranteed autographs in there.
Oh.
I mean, this is just card terminology. It's big boy card collecting, guys. Like I love big boy card collecting. If you follow me on Facebook, it's big boy card collecting all the time. It's amazing. Just because Caitlin Clark's card is a $25,000 card does not mean that we all can't dream of owning a Caitlin Clark card. I'm sorry, big boy card collecting. We all have to be adults, and we all have dreams. That blue Viper, it's just a beautiful card. I'm sorry, I get distracted. I'm looking at my wounds. I'm losing that Angel Reese card too, but not the point. But yeah, so what is this like? Because there's a lot of ways where I think somebody can come into this for like $29, I think, but also
Hmm.
somebody can come in for $100, 120, potentially 500, potentially 1,000, maybe 3 grand. So there's a lot of ways that somebody can come in, and I think that's also really interesting too. Is that you say, hey, look, I'm a little uncertain, and I just want to come in for $29, right? Or you could come in for $5, right?
Yeah. The $5 gets you the it's like a little nice thank you for subscribing and helping out. You get a little pre-debut pack, which is what we have for the like pre-release promos advertising the campaign. That we're actually currently giving them out at conventions right now.
I really want one of those. I really do. I'm just on the East Coast. I really want one of those. I'm not gonna lie. It'd be fun.
You'll get it on your campaign, or your pledge. Everybody will get one. We'll give one to everybody. But
I love
also,
cards. I love cards. I'm a big 4-year-old card collector. So they just seem so much fun. But because I like that pledge a lot, because I think it's interesting when a company issues and says, here's a $5 tier, and we want to give you something for $5, and we don't want to just give you a digital reward, because I think that says something a lot more about business and about being productive and about being good in business, right? And this is my complaint about comics, is that that's what I think is interesting about your Kickstarter more than anything else. To be honest, is that for $5, somebody could take. I don't know what this is, but for $5, I'm going to get a small little pack of cards, and then we'll work from there. And I think that's really, really interesting in that regard.
the pre-debuts they only have just one card in per pack since they're the promo cards. Um,
But
I
you understand what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
That
you still get a little bit of something.
I don't. So if I don't know what the hell you guys are, for lack of a better word,
Mm.
it's still saying cool. You're getting something, but also you now have a way to communicate with me, right? And I know what it is. And I spent $5 in a heartbeat. I go to freaking Dunkin' donuts, get my sweet tea, and it's $10 in a minute, right? It's actually no, it's not. It's more like 2.30, and then you add a donut, and it's like $5 there, right? So $5 is nothing in reality. Even if it's one card or 3 or 10, it doesn't really matter. Even if it's a postcard, $5 is nothing. So, but that's what I think is interesting, right? Is that's what I like about that tier in particular, is that you're not you're giving me something of value that's actually physical for $5, because most campaigns and comics will give me a digital for $5, but a digital is that, it's digital. It's not unvaluable, but it's a digital book. I can't do anything with the digital book. I can't touch it. I can't smell it. I can't play with it. I can't tear it up. I can't burn it. It's digital. That's what I think is interesting about your campaign, because I actually think you're creating a connection and a physical connection with somebody, and I think that's a massive game changer. We can just say yes, and we can move on if you would like.
Yeah.
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 I'm sorry. I was
No,
waiting
it's
for your
fun.
thought, like-
It's fun. No, you're right. You're right. The $5 something is based off of streaming as well. I was explaining to Boss Man about that, because we were talking about how usually in campaigns there's like the $1 thing, and I was telling him like, oh, like usually in streaming there's the $5, like the lowest amount you could sub to a streamer, and you get like certain benefits and things like that, and you're looped in. And he's just like, let's do that. And I'm like, okay.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I am not at that level, but then again, if I buy me a coffee, the least you could do is $5. So I get it. But I don't even promote that either, because it's just honestly, it's so much easier just to do private deals with people if they want to sponsor my show. It's so much easier. At this point. And honestly, it's more of a hassle than anything else. I can make more money selling comics and cards on eBay than I can on sponsorships. But I do digress there, because obviously there's some other stuff that I want to talk about. I want to go run through this really quickly. I think this is involved. So we give everybody a second there. If you'd like, you could pause this at a later date if you so choose. I think she's one of the ones involved in this project. This is another one. And obviously I think that's her card down below, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Did we unlock her card yet or no?
Not yet. Not yet. Are you talking about the serialized 10?
Yes.
Not yet.
You guys are failing. You're
Why?
failing us completely. Work harder, guys. I'm not gonna move this over, and we're not gonna end this stream until. No, I'm joking.
You really like Leah? You like Leah?
If you're really committed here, guys.
Leah's been really interesting. I will say, I've mentioned this before. Leah's community is definitely very vocal. They let it be known that they are very devoted and dedicated to Leah, and that they would not support unless she's in the game. Even though we already knew that she was going to be in the game. We always found it funny that there was always that one post every time we posted about this. There'd always be that one post that's like, unless Leah's in it, I'm not supporting this.
Oh man, so obviously this card's unlocked. So if you want to read this, you could pause this for a second, everybody. Obviously, this is another one out there. Obviously, this one was a gimmick, because there's a starter deck there. There's a starter deck, I think, for her as well, that's out there to start out. So again, if you're interested, you could read it. I may or may not be interested in this card, because this is what I do on my Fridays. Me and her would get along great. Obviously this one's out there as well. Again, if you would like to read the bio and know more about it, you can pause. I understand that completely. Obviously this one also I think was unlocked because the card's there. I don't have their YouTube links, which means I'm irresponsible, so I'm sorry, everybody. But you can Google these people. And then this is the 7th one, and again, I'm gonna give everybody a second to pause it and read if you would like. So, what is that like? Because obviously there's 7 of them, and I don't know if there's gonna be an 8th or a ninth or what's coming out on serialized cards. But what is that like to start really unlocking these things? Because every time one of these things is unlocked, another 10 are unlocked. There's more odds to pull and draw and get these cards.
Mhm. Um, well, it's a little tricky because we have it's uh set one consists of Gen 1 from Face Connect, which if you're not familiar, there's 7 talents. And the tricky thing is definitely the balancing act of how much of each talent we put in. Obviously, for the sets for the booster box, there's actually all of the talents were evenly developed. However, we have the Tenma and Pippa starter decks, which unfortunately gives off the kind of visual misconception that the lot of the branding is Tenma and Pippa. But it's just something that we had to be conscious of in terms of like what the minimum order quantities would look like.
Let's actually talk about that because is it with those 2 starter decks, you just had to pick 2 and you had to run with it? Because I don't think on a business level you could have done 7 starter decks. I think that would have been, in my opinion, a freaking disaster.
It
Because now
would have been, yeah.
it's kind of like you either had to create a generic deck and then the booster box build off, but then somebody gets a deck that's not going to work, right? And or you gotta say, cool, we're going with these 2, nothing against anybody else here, but we just picked the 2, and then it was a coin toss, and then sorry to the other 5. Maybe at a later date, you guys are gonna get some starter decks, but it's kind of like I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna ask you, and you could plead the fifth, and I'll move on. But how old were you when Yu-Gi-Oh, the 2 starter decks of Yu-Gi-Oh or Kaiba's that came out?
I I don't know when that came out.
That came out, I think, like 98, 99, 2000, 2001-ish. So those 4 years, give or take, that time period. So around
Uh
2000. I was maybe 7, 8, or 9 around that time. I was maybe 9, right?
uh-huh.
So my point is that you had to pick Team Kaiba or Team Yugi. They didn't do Bakura's deck to start. Is my point. That doesn't mean Bakura is not a great person or a bad person or Joey's not great, but there was no Joey Wheeler starter deck, right?
Right.
That came later for a
It it
reason.
it is one of those things that like I do get sad when we get comments uh where obviously people want their Oshi, and so they get sad when they don't see a Leah starter deck. But it doesn't mean that Leah's not in the game. She is, and you can build a Leah deck, but you just have to build it yourself with the cards in the booster box. Uh but in terms of
That's the
like starter deck,
challenge,
yeah,
right?
that's the challenge.
This is
She's
the wrong approach, okay? If you're sad, here's what you want to do, right? This is the point. They're giving you an opportunity here. They're basically saying, we have faith in you here at
make
Oshi
the
Push,
best Leah deck possible,
and then
guys.
give us the idea for Leo deck, and we might steal it from you. And there you go. There you go. The next Kickstarter. We just figured it out. Fan submission of your deck as a tier.
Hmm. The thing was also like a lot of times when making a lot of the things, it was easier to do them in like sets of 2, right? So like Tenma and Pippa, a set of 2, and then if we were to do another set of 2, that would be Leah and
I just
Uraka.
figured out. I just figured out your $10,000 tier for
Mhm.
series 2 of this. Fan submits a deck. $10,000. Get to submit a deck that gets to be built. It could be a horrible deck, but for $10,000, you'll produce it. I just figured out your beautiful tier here. I mean, you could put it at 20,000. I mean, I'm just saying that with some modification, but we will help in this company build a deck you want for you that will be mass distributed. I just figured out you're like $20,000 tier, just like that.
If we have another campaign, it would be for set 2, which is a whole different roster.
Still, you could do it. Think about that, right? If you're a real card shop, what would it be if you basically say we're the card shop that built this deck? As our card shop's deck. It's kind of a cool idea, right?
Hmm.
Because people get to do their variant covers. So instead in comics, you could do a deck. It's awesome. 10,000? Oh my god. I might consider that because that's kind of cool. I'm just solving your problems here, guys. No, you can do whatever you want. I don't want any part of that.
I mean, one of the things that I was conscious about is that, like, once we get to like 4 out of 7, I felt like I didn't want to leave any one of the other talents out. In which case, we then get to the issue of we need to do all 7 of them. Because
No,
that
Survivor.
that comes up, and I don't wanna leave anybody out.
Vote people out.
I want. It's like once you get past 4, it needs to be all. It needs to be all of them.
No. See, you have to put them at tribal council, and you have to have immunity challenges. I'm telling you, you could have Survivor with all your characters. Oh, I mean, imagine you have all 7 of these on one stream, and you have tribal council, and you have Jeff Probst doing tribal council. Think about it. Oh, the amount of viewership you would get on that. Oh, that'd be great. I would pay real money for that. I'm not gonna lie. I'd pay real money. I would pay like $50 to see that. I'd pay easy.
They actually do compete with each other a lot. Recently, they had something called Phase Wars, where they compete against each other, and they also did a mahjong tournament as well.
Oh my god! Just give me virtual Survivor with all 7 of these, and I would be so thrilled. So thrilled. I have a friend who does some really good stuff with Survivor every like Wednesday or every Thursday after Survivor, and he's great, and he's gone out there, and it just we speak about it, and that's all 7 of these just virtual Survivor. Oh my god, it'd be so much fun. It'd be so much fun. But I digress. Just my co-host who graciously allowed me to do this instead of being with him tonight. So we're doing the show tomorrow. It'll be fun. He understands why, because I sent him the picture of you, and he's like, I get it completely. I can't be angry with you, Andrew, on this one.
Oh shucks.
It's like, dude, I get it. This makes sense why we have to move it a day later. This makes complete sense. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited for this, and obviously you are way past 250 now, and I guess I'm curious what happens next, right? Because you have one more serial card to unlock, and then what happens when you get to 300,000, and then potentially 350? Because I'll be honest, I thought you were going to end up at 150, maybe 180. I didn't see 250. And it's nothing against you guys. I'm just saying, new card game, a company that has a really good reputation, the economy being not great. I thought 150 was possible. I thought 180 was going to be a little bit of a stretch, but I thought you could have made it as a company. But you're at 250, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, so I don't know. I think 300,000 is not out of the question, and potentially 350 on this is not out of the question either. And so, what happens next with all the stretch goals? Because there could be a point where you're like, what do we do next?
I mean, that's something we're kind of worried about.
You didn't expect this, did you? You didn't expect it, right? Like,
no. No. I actually did have I did have a meeting with Ian like 2 days ago, and he's just like, what do we do? And I'm just like, let me keep thinking about this.
It's a good problem, right?
It is a good problem to have. It is. Absolutely.
But you can understand where I don't think my thought process is necessarily wrong. Where it's kind of like I think you guys are well aware that the economy is a bit rough things are really complicated. People are really struggling on Kickstarter in comics. And I have a lot of friends who are funding, but they're funding in week 2 when they used to fund in week 1. And I know a lot of people who are funding, but maybe they're not making as much money as they used to. And
Mm.
so what is that like? Because it's kind of a weird situation where you're like, great, we have one last stretch goal to pump, but what happens after that one, right?
I mean, then we have to figure out more stretch goals. I'll probably be asking the community a little bit more to figure out that answer. But it's definitely something that we weren't expecting, and something that, like, as you mentioned, with the economy and Kickstarter being different, that's something that I did hear Boss Man mention, that because obviously, like you've said before, Japanime has done like 30 campaigns, Kickstarter campaigns. So he's seen all of that through, and he has mentioned that it definitely feels different. The Kickstarter is definitely a lot different than
It, it,
before.
it's interesting because I have a different viewpoint than some other people. So obviously, I think the economy's rough, and
Mm.
my viewpoint is well known. I've also become less backing, or used to back a lot more people, and it's partially because I run a business and I have to look at this from a business perspective of cool. If I buy a retail package on Kickstarter, I have to be very selective. And then the other thing is that I've been burned. I've been burned on a lot of things, and people are late. And so my faith in execution on Kickstarter is horrible, and I don't trust people anymore
Mm.
as much as I used to, for
That's
a lot of
true.
reasons. And when people are late by 9 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years, my faith in the system has become challenged. Um, I think you guys are going to execute, but I'll be honest. I mean, if you think you're a year out, I'm going to take a fair guess and say you're 18 months out. And it's not because of anything, but things go wrong. And it's not
Yeah.
criticism, but from my position, there are people who said they were 3 months ahead and they were really 9 months behind. So, like, my faith in the system has been rocked. And I've been on Kickstarter backing projects, and I ran a Kickstarter too. And I've been here for like 6, 7 years, and I'm definitely. And then there's people who do fund my comic or fund my Indiegogo. I've been burned on all those platforms, so that's how I feel. But I can tell you what I want as a stretch goal. I really like promo cards a lot. And I'll tell you why I like them. Because I feel like it's an addition, right? So the God pack is fun, and obviously it's a rare pack, and I'm gonna get better cards, but it's also replacing a regular pack. So I feel like it's an upgrade, but it's also taking something away, right? Versus when you add me a promo card, you're not taking something away from me, you're giving me something.
Hmm.
And so I like promo cards a lot. And a lot more than people realize. Is the same reason why I like stickers or I like magnets, because you're adding something to my package versus saying I'm going to replace A with B. Now I'm excited for the got backs. I don't want you to take those away from my packages. Don't get me wrong. But like that promo card is really cool. So I wouldn't mind another promo card as a stretch goal. I think those are really cool, and I think it's smart, and I think it's fun. So that's what I like a lot. Or even like a postcard or a sticker. Those are always great because those to me say, cool, we're just gonna throw you something fun in here that's just basic, or like a magnet. Magnets are my favorite thing because I have a refrigerator and I like throwing things on it, and it may or may not upset somebody in my household, and she may or may not like it, which is always fun because it's fun to mess with your significant other sometimes. And she wakes up at 6 in the morning. Oh, it's great. So that's what I like in mind. But the promo card, I would like another promo card, to be honest.
The only worry about the promo cards is that without the proper development and playtesting time for it, uh, we can't ensure its legality in tournament play. But if people are okay with that, then
You could have. I mean, I'm presuming that there's a rule book, right?
yeah.
So theoretically, in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering, there's banned cards.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a whole subsection called Gene Walk. Have you? It's uncluster. Have you ever played the unclustered Magic the Gathering?
I've heard of it. I've not played it.
Oh my god, it's the best version of Magic the Gathering. So you have, in order to attack, you have to cluck like a chicken is one of your cards, but then you get to attack your opponent directly. Then and these cards, it's unglued is the point.
Mhm.
Unglued is sick because the whole point of unglued is it's just a messed up game and it's so much fun because somebody, if they're wearing jeans, you could attack them directly. So it's gene walk. It's great.
Oh my god.
Everything is broken in the game. Unglued is so much fun because it's that. The rules are just thrown out the window, but you can't play unglued in a tournament. Nobody in their right mind will play unglued in a tournament, and it's
Right.
not allowed. It's well known, right? But you could play Spike Shot Goblin in a tournament, which allows you to directly attack your opponent if they have a mountain in their mana pool. That's completely legal in a tournament. Gene Walk is not. So I think it would be a lot of fun to have things like that in a promo card. Like if your opponent is wearing a blue shirt, you could attack them. You get an extra 5,000, influence points. But that's
Okay.
just what I think. But or even just something ridiculous like just fun promo cards that have no merit, like Duke has them.
Of
Where
course. Yeah, if the community has no issue with it, then yeah, we'll totally do that because there's so many fun things that we could do, especially like with the Sakana card and the coffee beans and things like that. Just dumb, ridiculous things like that. There's so many things we can do. I just was worried that if they weren't legal, people would find them undesirable.
oh
But
no,
also,
I mean, postcards are fun, magnets are fun, stickers are fun, all that stuff. I mean, that's the cool stuff. Like somebody sent me a bumper sticker; those are fun. Like there's a million things that could be done as stretch goals, and as like, especially if you do 300 or 400,000. I mean, at 400,000, you got to do something fun. You have to. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, it, a lot of cool stuff could be done. Is the point. But
I I tried requesting approval for a different promo card that I won't say because I don't want people to get their hopes up about it because it got declined, probably for legality reasons. But I did try. I saw something in the community that was requested, and I asked about it, but the fish declined, which I can assume is for legality's sake. But I will keep fishing around for more opportunities and more
it'd be
options.
funny. It'd be funny if you did at 300,000, you did a promo code of like a fishbowl.
A platform, the fishbowl.
Oh my god! I mean, if you did that next to that one, oh, there's so many things that can be done here. There's so many things that can be done, and you don't even have to make it like I could. It's not even a legality issue. It's just like if you did something that connected to this one, that would
Mhm.
be great in so many ways. In so many ways. Um,
Well,
but
I'm currently for the retailers, the price cards that they get. I'm trying to source an artist to do a swole sakana art. I want an Adonis swole sakana as the price cards for the retailers. Promise you won't tell anybody.
Yeah, as soon as you mentioned it live online.
Yeah, I promise you won't tell anybody. I'm trying to figure out a swole sakana.
That's usually how I say to my I say when I'm interviewing during work hours. I'm like, guys, I'm playing hooky. Don't tell anybody. But yeah, no, I just think that there's a lot of stuff that could be done, and I'm excited. I'm probably gonna add on as a blast as a bonus and as an add on. I'm probably gonna add another hobby box on, just because I'm into that and I'm excited for this. And obviously, there's a lot of stretch goals, but I do want to back out of all this because we covered a lot of this, and I am curious how you feel about the whole pop culture space, though, because obviously I speak to a lot of people in comics, I speak to a lot of people in the anime, I speak to a lot of wrestlers, I speak to a lot of people in the adult industry, and everybody has an opinion on it. And I think your opinion and your viewpoint might be slightly different than somebody who's in those other sectors for a lot of reasons, primarily because you're in the trading card game space. And so, where do you think pop culture is going? Because a lot of stuff's happened in the world in the last 2 years.
I mean, things are moving very fast. Even in the small niche of VTubing, I spent 2 weeks trying to get the campaign all fixed up and everything. And just in the VTubing sphere, so much news happened in those 2 weeks that like I wasn't paying attention to the news. So much drama. Groups were disbanded. So many people were in fights within one another and then resolved their fights. Everything moves super fast right now. Uh,
Crazy.
and it's really crazy. It's really crazy, and especially when you do, like you look back at the year and what's happened, and just like the laundry list of things that happen in a year, and it's just like it kind of makes me feel like, you know how you look at presidents when they first go into office, and then at the end, and they're just like they've aged 50 years or something. And I look at this laundry list of everything that's happened in the community in a year, and I'm like, man, how is everybody like aging at the speed of light right now due to everything that's going on?
Why do you think my hair is gray?
You color it?
No, 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 no. This is long for me. Uh, Short of military, like legit, like half an inch of short of military is where I cut my hair because it's not gray there. Here it's gray. It's terrible. If you could see it, it's not good, guys. And I'm 31, so my hair's been going gray since I've been like freaking 25. It's terrible. Um, it's unfortunate because things
Just
move
dye
fast.
it.
It's
Just
stressful.
dye it gray. It'll look cool.
If anything, I'm probably gonna just like cut it military every other week. It'll be great. I'll pick the sides. This is long. This is long for me. It's terrible.
Hmm.
But I feel you in which that the whole pop culture space is insane. Oh man, we have a bunch of children trying to be adults in the space. Is a good way I like to put it. Now that I got you and me both in trouble on that statement, though, it's all right. Um, I think people need to learn how to get along. Is where I'm going with that. But I don't know. But I was just curious, what would you think? But yeah, and then obviously a lot of other stuff's going on. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out with this game. I know we didn't even touch the surface of it, right?
There's a lot. There's a lot. We have 4 sets planned out right now.
So you have 3 more or 4 more coming
Three
eventually.
more.
It's crazy. That's crazy. That's just mind boggling. That's mind boggling. I don't even know what to tell you. I'm gonna be poor at the end of this. That's wild. But again, I'm sure. Hopefully, I'll get you back on. Hopefully, I'll get you back on. In this whole thing, and then hopefully, I don't know if you have your VTubers planned, but I might have 2 more for you guys to play with. Um,
I
I've
know right now. I
I have a lot of
think
friends.
there's still some slots in set 4. I think I have to double check, but that it's kind of like far out in development. It's the unfortunate thing. Like it'll be a couple years.
I'm sure that I will make the introduction, and then everybody else can figure it out. I just want hand signed cards if I make those introductions. I'm just gonna throw it out there. But no, all jokes aside, obviously, I do want to give you a chance to self promote yourself. So, where could people find you, hit you up, back the campaign, obviously, support the company, follow you, catch you on YouTube all the time, all that fun stuff, because you're all over the place. Obviously, a lot's going on, and I want to give you a chance to promote yourself.
You mean my Twitch channel? My cafe?
Everything. Whatever you
Everything?
want to promote, you can promote all of it.
You putting me on the spot here. But yes, every so often I do stream on Twitch, in my little cafe. Sometimes we hang out, play little games. Sometimes I receive product from the warehouse, and we do unboxings, which is really cool. But I also have like card sleeving streams, which is funny because that was like my very first couple of streams, and Bossman was just like, are people really coming in to watch cards being sleeved? And Heather's just like, well, yeah, it's kind of just like hanging out. And I did that as like multitasking, right? Because I don't like playing any games unless I sleeve them for their protection. And I've shown pictures of like my very first tabletop game, is Heart of Crown. That was my very, very first tabletop game. And I was dumb, okay, and overprotective. And those cards are like triple sleeved. I have them like unnecessarily double sleeved, and some of the other ones are triple sleeved in those hard plastic like card sleeves and things like that. So every time I get a new game, before I can play it, I have to sleeve them all. So I might as well multitask and stream that, and we can hang out and talk about the new games and look at them. And oh my goodness, the art for them is like my favorite thing. But it's definitely nice to have people stop by, talk about what things they're into, what they're
So,
playing.
so what is your Twitch channel for those who want to follow us, see it? Because a lot of people are going to see this both right now, they're watching it, as well as on replay. So where is and what is your Twitch channel so people look it up?
You can find me at Akiko Otaku _VT on Twitch. Do I post a link somewhere? Do I post it in your YouTube? Do I post it there?
If you can post it there, it's fine. I mean, I can include it.
Do you have bots that are gonna ban me for posting it there?
I don't have any bots. I'm not that cool.
Oh,
I am bot free. I don't have any bots. I don't want any bots. It's so you can put it in the comments. I mean, it'll be right in the comment section. And I don't have any bots. I mean, I have the link to the Kickstarter. Um, just cool. So obviously I have that's up there. But yeah, so any links you want to put up there, you can put up there. Nobody's gonna ban anybody. I don't believe in censorship. I'm very much like Joy Boy and Luffy. I don't believe in censorship or tyrantry, for lack of a better word. So yes, so it's up there, guys. You can see it and you can click it. It's right here. There you go, everybody.
I had to use the work account because I didn't have an account. Well, it didn't make sense. It wouldn't let me post it on mine.
So many things I could say. I'm just being an adult today. I'm adulting. No, don't use that, guys. Don't use that. That's a bad use of that. But obviously the Kickstarter for the campaign is in the description as well. Whether you're watching up here, down there, to this side, that side. Obviously you should back the campaign. I backed it. I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be a fun game to play. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited to reverse engineer it. I'm excited to
Yeah,
build a deck. I don't even know whose deck I'm gonna build, but I'll figure
I
it out.
wanna see all the crazy plays out there.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm very excited, and I have to read the rule book first, and I have to figure out how to what game and what games that I want to play. But I digress. And then as far as I'm concerned, anything I got going on, obviously I am Pop Anime Comics on the Twitter/the X. So you can follow me there, hit me up, check me out. I don't tweet as much as I should, but I'm gonna be getting back into that after the NBA playoffs are over and the finals are over. So that'll be a lot of fun. I am Pop Anime Comics on Instagram. I'm Pop Anime Comics on the Facebook. I am Pop Anime Comics on the YouTube. Please subscribe to me. I appreciate all my subscribers. I have 1,400 videos, and I'm probably going to be adding at the end of the year around another 400, give or take. A lot of interviews, a lot of voice actors, a lot of wrestlers, a lot of cosplayers, some VTubers, and you never know who's coming on my show. You never ever will know who's coming on my show, when they're coming on my show, how they're coming on my show. So definitely subscribe, and you won't miss my content. And we're having a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun, and my community tab is a lot of fun too. I have daily polls, and we talk about everything from Taylor Swift to Transformers in my community tab. So you name it, we probably talked about it, and we do talk about My Little Pony as well. My Little Pony's the shit. Um, it's good stuff. What can I say? But that's everything that I got going on, and I do have an eBay store, everybody. So if you would like to buy from me, I am Pop Anime Comics Collectibles on eBay, and you could absolutely buy from my eBay store. And I carry a lot of really cool merch. So I carry stuff like this in my store, which are limited 15 halifos. I have all 15 of those. I have all 15 of these. I do carry some really interesting merch like this as well, which is some of the Taylor Swift stuff that is sold out now. As well as I do carry some interesting cards, but apparently people are telling me they can't see it. They can't see it. So I don't know what's going on here. I called up the company and they're like, we know it's there, man, but we can't see it either. And I'm like, why'd you sell it to me? And they're like, well, we can't see you. And then I was into that. And then I sold some to my customers, like, yo, we feel the weight on it, but we can't see it. I'm like, I'm sorry. What do you want me to do here? I'm just not good enough, and I can't do this 16 times for you. So it's an unfortunate circumstance for all of us. But if you're looking for that card, I have some left. And if you would like to join the club and you can't see us, we're all in. So that's everything that I got going on in my store. You can come bother me, check me out. You can hit me up. You can bother me. You can shoot me a nice message, say, hey, how are you doing? And that's everything that I got going on. And unless I owe you money, if I owe you money, well, I'm going to pretend like this conversation never happened on that point. But that's everything I got going on, and I'm going to give you the final word.
Wait, so does that mean you're gonna pretend that we didn't have this conversation? Because you backed the campaign, so you owe us money, right?
I got to go, guys.
Goodbye.
No. I'm gonna. If that's how I'm gonna end this show, I am more than happy with that ending. More than happy. It was very funny. It was very funny. I will say that it was very funny. But I am very happy to give you guys my money. I'm very happy to give you my money. And that's our math. But again, for the most part, if I owe you money, I'm probably going to pretend like I broke. I'm going to walk away as if I pretend if I broke something in a store, and we're all going to walk away as if it never happened. So that's where it's going. But that's everything I got going on, and I think that is a wrap, because I don't think I could have ended this stream any better than we just did, everybody. So I think that is